Well, remember we reported on that awful story down in Florida where DHS says the driver was illegal. He was driving an 18-wheeler. He did a U-turn in the middle of the highway, and then the minivan slams into the side of his truck, killing 3 people. Something similar has happened in Southern California. This is a 21-year-old illegal from India, crossed the southern border in 2022 under the Biden administration, was caught and then let go into the United States. And this is video of this crash that led to 3 people dying in Southern California.
Yeah, the guy's name is Jaspreet Singh, first encountered by Border Patrol in El Centro sector in March of 22. His DHS photo, you could see it there, is attached, and 3 people are dead because he was here.
So this is one of the things that we've been talking about. You got some states that have their own actually, every state has their own regulations. California being one, the liberal safe haven, sanctuary states, sanctuary cities all through there. And they have their own process. But it impacts everyone as well because they go across state lines. Sean Duffy, we had him on the program a while back, and he talked about this. You got people that don't speak English, can't read the signs, yet they're getting these licenses. Watch.
This is affecting American drivers. We have Americans who have been in the trucking industry for 50 years, their family business. They can't do business anymore because you have these illegals coming in, living out of their trucks. They got teams of drivers. They're not safe. They can't speak the language. You can't speak the language. You probably didn't pass the skills test, and you're not here legally, and you're driving our kids to school. That's the insanity in some of these liberal states.
So the guy that was arrested down in Florida, we know that he couldn't speak good English. He couldn't read the road signs. And Sean Duffy is saying that that needs to stop. We need to make sure they can read the road signs, and California is the only state not allowing that. But in this incident in California, we don't know if he was able to read the road signs, but we do know that he was intoxicated. And there was traffic. There was like a traffic jam, as you can see, slow moving cars. And then he never hit the brakes, police say, and he smashed right into
It's a
cars.
semi-truck, and look at this, Lawrence, your dad drives trucks. It's a lethal weapon.
That's right.
And you just see doors flying off as this guy just plows through people.
And of course, you have people on the left that say, well, you know, Americans drive drunk and this happened. One illegal doing this is enough. No family should ever have to go through this because someone decided that they were going to enter in the country illegally and then get behind a motor vehicle drunk.
So, yeah. So I can't wait to see Gavin Newsom come out and condemn illegal immigration later today and how it cost 3 lives. Or is he going to go radio silent or find something cute to troll? I don't think so.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most unstoppable collision course on Earth, the Freeway Fury Demolition Derby, where titans of steel fight for survival. Hold on to your seat.
Blue Steel makes the first move. He's leaning in. Look at that chrome flash. Maroon Thunder answers back, grinding down the side. Sparks flying like Diwali fireworks out here on the freeway. Both rigs still pushing.
It's chaos on the concrete. These giants are trading paint and metal.
Look at that jackknife. He is crossing every lane. Another one punching through the rail. Pipes flying everywhere. Hold on to your steering wheels, brothers.
These giants are trading paint and metal. Look at that silver tire's gone. He's still pushing. Black rig into the rail. Sparks everywhere. White truck breaking free. He's off the road. This is full power madness. Hold your breath, people. These boys are not lifting.
Jeez, Jerry, you're going to get me in trouble with that one. Mad Max, Indian truck driver on the roads of America. Goodness gracious. It'd be funny if it wasn't so true. A horrifying story from this morning, Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. We can't believe how quickly it was just 1 month ago where we were covering the deadly crash of an Indian truck driver who can't read English, can't speak English, was driving on a Floridian highway not too far from where I live and just slaughtered a bunch of people because he used a third world driving tactic of just turn wherever the F I want. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a cost to allowing third world immigrants, sorry about that, third world criminal aliens who are not invited to this country, who do not love this country, who do not care about our rules, our laws, because their first act here was to break our laws, who do not care about the people of this country. There is going to be a horrifying toll on allowing millions of those individuals into our land. And we are just beginning, sadly, I think, to see what is happening to our culture when we let such suicidal policies take control. More people are dead today. Illegal alien truck driver kills 3 in fatal crash in California. This individual was released by Biden after crossing the border illegally in 2022. They knew what they were doing. We'll live for the rest of our lives with this horror hanging over our head. They've let the terrorists, they let the inmates run the asylum. If you don't have control over who enters your nation, if you don't have say, as the owners of this country, you and me, we're the owners of this country, as the shareholders of this country, if we don't have say over who gets to come in and who has to go, then we don't have a country. Would you respect a man on your block if he couldn't tell people to come and go from his property? If his door was just wide open and any drug abuser, degenerate, criminal, anyone could just come in and use his house, flop house? There's probably a house like that in your town. There's probably some druggy house of ill repute in your town that is a flop house for criminals. And it's on the worst block in the worst part of town, and it's known as a place where you can just come and go. And it's going to be demolished, right? The next thing that happens to a house like that is it gets demolished, plowed over, turned into a parking lot, or somebody actually buys it and uses it correctly, meaning a lock on the door and control of the premises, order, cleanliness, laws, rules, boundaries. These are the things that make an organized society worth living in. Not to get too hot right off the top here, but ladies and gentlemen, I'm pissed. Because it happened again. FBI has released new surveillance video of a suspect who placed pipe bombs on January 6th. Looks like they're actually trying to find him. Very interesting. We'll be asking Harmeet Dillon from the DOJ, who'll be live on the show, about it. We'll also be talking to Callie Means about this great Maha moment and exactly what has been accomplished and what more needs to be done. Work at HHS and RFK. This is RFK's senior advisor and President Trump's senior advisor. Senator Ron Johnson will be on the program, who will give us some insight as to what's going on with the government shutdown and many of the very interesting deep state coverage points that we always like to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. This is a moment where you should really take your health seriously. Obviously, we're going to spend the show talking about health and how to ensure that we're not slaughtered on our own highways by third world criminal aliens, but also how we ensure that our body is a temple as God designed it. I have high blood pressure. 1 in 2 American adults have high blood pressure, and that is a real killer in this country. You should work on lowering that blood pressure in a healthy and all-natural way. 120 Life is there to help you lower your blood pressure all naturally. 5 all-natural ingredients blended together to make a delicious drink that doctors have proven naturally lowers your blood pressure. Hundreds of doctors have recommended this product to lower your blood pressure naturally. It has measurable changes. A simple monitor at home can prove it. And ladies and gentlemen, it's just delicious. That's self-evident. For a limited time, try 120 Life and save 20%. Just use the code Benny and check out at 120life.com. 120 Life offers a risk-free trial and a full refund if you don't see lower numbers in 2 weeks. Go to 120life.com and use the code Benny to save 20%. There's nothing to lose except your high blood pressure. I got high blood pressure with this story, man. All right, so here's what happened in Florida. This happened in Florida a couple months ago. Here's the clip, and it's a famous clip of this truck driver driving through the highways of Florida, not too far from where I live. And he's a Indian truck driver who doesn't speak English, isn't in this country legally, and makes what any teenager would tell you is a horrible and deadly move by taking his massive 18-wheeler that he's probably driving for Walmart so that Walmart could save a fraction of a percentage point on hiring an American and instead hires this, I'm not sure, H-1B. I'm not sure exactly what his classification would be, right? Like how he's a criminal alien, right? So then how are you even able to work and live in America, this is something that I look forward to asking Harmeet Dillon, actually. So what happens here? Like, I understand the H-1B process. I'm not in favor of it, like, obviously. But I don't want hundreds of millions of H-1Bs in this country. The economy is tough enough as it is. I think we need to, like, halt pretty much all immigration to America for a generation, to be quite honest with you. And we have to do some real work on ourselves here as a country. That's my stance on immigration. But, like, this guy, as far as I know, isn't even an H-1B. Like, at least that there is a legal process. You can argue the process, but somebody legally applied and it's lawful, right? They're still here as a visitor and can be sent home at any time. And I would argue that should happen, actually. But this is just a criminal alien. This is just somebody who entered the country illegally and shouldn't be allowed to be here working. What exactly is the immigration status? But certainly, whatever status that there is, like driving a deadly 10-ton weapon down our highways is not what this individual should be doing. But he was granted a driver's license from California. This happened at the end of August, and you can see here, he just pretty much cuts across the entire highway, doesn't even look. Doesn't look. Notice this. Doesn't even look. Doesn't even try to attempt to see if he's going to slaughter people. Look at that. Look. Guy didn't care. He didn't give a damn. Leroy Jenkins. Let's just block the entire highway. What's the mile per hour rate in a Florida highway? 70, 75 in some places. So people are cooking down this highway. Listen, if it's 70, people are going 80. If it's 75, people are going 85. Some people are going 90. That's just the way it is. People drive fast in Florida. It's a big state. People want to get to point A to point B. Here goes. Just cuts across the highway. And naturally, when you block all the lanes in an instant, so it's an open lane, and then exactly 1 second later, it's blocked. Car slams in to the semi, kills 3 people instantly. Look at that. So no panic, no fear, just dead eyes. Look at that. Look at the reaction. Just dark, dead eyes. Just doesn't care. The reaction is really what gets me here. No sympathy, no empathy, no shock or horror, no feeling of sadness. Look at that. Nothing. No emotion at all. Just rage glaring. 3 people are dead because of your third world, and we're going to get into this exactly. What are the driving habits in India exactly? Why are there so many crashes with Indian drivers? Let's talk about it. Just nothing but like emotionless, dead eyes. Why? We need to ask the question why. And for that, you need to zoom way back. You need to take a big step back. Why? Anyone can make a mistake, and that mistake can lead to bad results. That does happen. You know, like, when that happens, I feel bad. I'm not saying that I've ever committed a traffic violation like this. Sometimes you pull out in front of somebody, whatever. I feel bad if, like, the crosswalk, right? Like, I go too quickly on a crosswalk or something, you know, I got to stop or whatever. I feel bad because, well, this is my country and I care about the rules and I want people to live safe and I want to be able to walk across crosswalks or drive with my children down a highway safely. So I got to contribute to that. I got to follow the rules myself. I walk with my 4 children all the time, every single night. And frankly, with 4 little kids that are running in every direction, it's dangerous. You got to be sure that people are driving safely, people are behaving and performing in a way that, like, it comports with, I understand where the car's going to go. Like, I'm corralling my kids. I'm making sure that everyone's safe. All right. Nobody wants any nightmare or disaster or any death on the road. If things ever go wrong, like, I feel bad about it. Right? Because this is my country. And my stupidity may hurt an American, actually. I'm not saying that's happened, but like, everyone gets behind the wheel of a car. That's a big risk. You could really hurt one of your countrymen. You could really cause damage to them. If you're stupid enough, you could really change, but you could hurt people's lives forever. Look at this guy's eyes. Look at him. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. No remorse. No empathy. It's not his country. They're not his countrymen. It's not his nation. He doesn't give a damn. America is just an opportunity to rip off the American taxpayers, to parasitically scrape from our functional country and send it back to India. Probably not pay any taxes. To strip mine this place, take an American job, slaughter people on the road. Who the hell cares? Got to get your remittances back home. That's the whole point. This nation means nothing to them. That is proven in so many instances. We could go for the next 17 hours straight. No ads, no breaks, no guests on the way that criminal aliens have treated our nation and our people. Whether it comes to slaughtering them in the streets, ripping us off on Canal Street in New York City, a whole nother operation. ALX, please get me some info on that. It doesn't matter. They don't care about this land. There is something fundamentally different from your ancestors coming here legally, crossing an ocean, coming here on a boat or a plane or whatever, naturalizing as American citizens, then integrating into society with gratefulness. Then people who are here to spit in our faces, who come here illegally, who break our rules as their first act, who thumb their nose and flip us off, strip mine the wealth of our nation and the treasure of our people, and then slaughter us. It is fundamentally different. Every immigration decision should be made based on a single metric, which is, will this individual that is coming to America, will they naturalize and assimilate into our culture, our predominant culture? That means English-speaking culture, Western civilization culture. Or will they try to fundamentally bring their culture here? Because taking Minneapolis, the Swedish city of Minneapolis, and turning it into Somalia in 1 decade, in a single act, in a single stroke, that is so fundamentally damaging, neck snapping, and is such a critical crisis for that community. Nobody voted for that. That was never put on a referendum. Nobody ever asked for that. Democracy is slowly but surely, we, the majority, get what we want. Do you want this man driving on a road with your children? Is that what you want? Did you vote for that? Do you want this homicidal maniac that when he slaughters your family, when your kids are laying dead in the road, will show no remorse because he doesn't care? Why doesn't he care? Let's go ahead and look at the culture where he comes from, shall we? He's an Indian immigrant. Let's go ahead and ask, how deadly is it to drive in India? India is the worst. India has the world's deadliest roads. Wow. Seems like a bad idea to take a bunch of people from India and then give them driver's licenses, right? India has the world's deadliest roads. Man, this is racist, Google. Boy, Benny, what kind of racist AI are you using? Google. With over close to 200,000 fatalities in 2023, resulting from high-speed collisions, inadequate infrastructure, lack of enforcement, or traffic laws. Common causes include overspeeding, drunken driving, failure to use safety and equipment, seatbelts, helmets, pedestrians, and two-wheelers, riders particularly vulnerable. Human error in India accounts for 87% of the accidents. Speeding, reckless driving, drunk driving, and fatigue. A lack of safety measures make up other causes for accidents. And you know what? Man, you hate to say it. You hate to say it. But Google AI was actually predictive of what was about to happen here in America. Google AI, we should have listened. It's crazy. Because Google AI would have told us that reckless, high speed, drunk driving of Indian drivers is something that we should really be cautious about in our country, because it is actually our obligation, the only obligation of the government. And what's the purpose of the government? Well, there really isn't one. If you were to boil the government down to like its basic core functions, well, the securing and protection of the citizenry in this nation is the core function of the government. I'm okay with having a very, very dangerous and scary military. I like that. That's cool. I want a very scary, dangerous Justice Department. That's also cool and biblical and good and orderly and lawful. Instituted for the fear of evil men, as it says in Romans 13. That is a godly constituted government. The fear of evil men. That's what the DOJ is for. So our government should be ensuring that someone who is, that there should, at the very least, be some checks and balances to ensure that drivers from the single deadliest road culture in the world don't come here with the same driving standards and habits of their homeland and slaughter Americans. Shouldn't that be like item number one? I mean, wouldn't that like just stand to reason that we make sure that we ensure that there's tests that you're not going to bring this culture to our roads? So it's not really hard. We just like typed it into Google and asked, and there it is. And Google was right. And our government was wrong, because our government handed another driver's license, the government of California, let me make that very clear, along with the Joe Biden administration, released an Indian man into America. California lavished him with driver's licenses and all of the capacity to go and drive one of the deadliest vehicles in the world, a massive 18-wheeler, 10-ton 18-wheeler. And then this man got blackout drunk and barreled into California traffic yesterday and slaughtered a bunch of people. Just like the statistics say. In India, a legal immigrant trucker accused of fatal California crash released by the Biden administration after 2022 border crossing. Well, would you look at that? What happened exactly yesterday? Well, a 21-year-old illegal immigrant, he's only 21, he's 21, and he's barreling down the freeway in a semi-truck. Multiple law enforcement officials tell Fox News that this 21-year-old criminal alien, so he came here when he was 18, comes here when he's 18 years old, and is handed a driver's license to drive semi-trucks? What kind of a country do we run? What are we even doing here? Federal sources say that Jashanpreet Singh, correction, thank you very much. Jashanpreet Singh was first encountered by Border Patrol agents in ICE's Centro sector in 2022. He was released in the interior of the country. Singh has now been arrested on suspicion of gross vehicular manslaughter while driving intoxicated and plowing his big rig into traffic on the I-10 freeway in San Bernardino. Let's go ahead and play the horrific video of this happening. It is just some of the sickest stuff I've ever seen. There's no way you survive that, and no one did. No one did. Look at him go. Look at him rampage. Look at this. Is this worse than 9/11? I mean, like, let me ask the question here. Is this worse than 9/11? Well, okay. How many semi-trucks are there? You know, so 9/11, and without getting into, Tucker Carlson's big documentary about this right now, and there's so many questions about it, but let's just take it at face value, okay? Planes fly into buildings. Well, you can really limit the capacity for that to happen by having really strict controls over who flies planes, and then really strict controls over who gets into the cockpit of those planes. And that's been done, all right? That's happened. However, how many semi-trucks are there versus how many planes are in the sky? I mean, I don't actually know the answer to that, but based on just a cursory observation of life around us, there's a lot more semi-trucks out there than there are planes. And it seems to me that these semi-trucks, which can clearly prove to be very, very deadly when driven by somebody who should not be allowed to drive in America, or anywhere for that matter, pretty clear to me that you can cause real damage. So at scale, how many of these criminal aliens, how many of these suicidal criminal aliens, please put up the tweet, are behind the wheels of these semi-trucks? At scale, could you have yourself another 9/11 on your hands? Well, absolutely, you could. Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is just two deadly crashes by unqualified, illegal alien, criminal alien drivers from India in our country in the same number of months. How many more of them are out there? How many more of these individuals have driver's licenses and are driving these massive, barreling, 90 mile an hour, 10-ton missiles down our roads, smashing into vehicles and slaughtering Americans? It's sickening. Per multiple eye sources, Jashanapreet Singh, semi-truck driver, the DUI crash, is an illegal alien caught and released by the Biden administration. When do we charge Biden with accessory to murder? I know he's going through cancer treatment right now, but at what point do you start charging the Joe Biden administration as accessory to murder? Same with Gavin Newsom. Because Gavin Newsom's California, that gives these guys driver's licenses. The states issue the driver's licenses, not the federal government. Just horrifying. Here's the aftermath of the crash. Again, 3 Americans dead. 3 dead. Look at this. Dudes just in work trucks or whatever. These are weapons. I mean, when someone's blackout drunk behind the wheel of the vehicle, and you know why this happens? And it's just a couple of things off the top of the dome. So you take these young men out of their culture that they've been raised in, no matter what you may think of it, no matter what your metropolitan, left-wing, liberal, elitism, racist ideology, niveling, holier-than-thou, passive-aggressive ideology may think of Indian culture, it's grounding to people who are from India. It provides cultural norms, connections to family, connections to religion, connections to food and the way of life, especially for a young man. Young men are irrational and are aggressive and need something like the church or a father figure. Need their mothers. They do. They need society around them to say, shit, stop. They need guardrails. Women, not exactly the same. Young men, in particular in their 20s, need to bash into a few walls, and those walls better be there. Right? Smack them down. What happens when a young man is inside of a culture that understands him, that speaks his language, that has his religious traditions, everything from food to alcohol consumption to family? What happens to young men there? There's a corralling effect. That society, when properly structured, knows how to corral and correct. Because nobody wants this to happen. When you separate that young man from all of those forces and you airdrop him into our culture that does not speak his language, does not have his cultural background at all, does not have the same traditions, does not have the same rules, does not have the same religion, and you just say, go be a wage slave for as much money, go live like a literal serf, go live like a slave, and send as much money as you can back to India, and go live this nihilistic life with absolutely nothing grounding you, with nothing that is, like, you are just living as a slave, a wage slave, for as much remittances as you can send home. What do you think's going to happen? Of course they're going to find themselves at the end of a bottle. Of course they're going to get blackout drunk. That's a nihilistic lifestyle. It's utterly inhumane. I'm not saying that I feel empathy for these criminal aliens. They're making a choice. But our leaders have to understand that the basic immorality of that choice is going to lead to these results, because it is immoral. And it's a horrible thing to do to a young man. And you see it all the time. Not just, of course, with Indian drivers, but with drivers from Guatemala that just plowed through a Florida family, killed a wife and baby not too far from where we broadcast. That driver was from Guatemala. A man working construction, same thing. You separated him from his Spanish-speaking culture. You separated him from his church in the hills of Guatemala, where the hell he's from. I don't know Guatemala, but you took him out of where he's from with the cultural moorings and foundation, and you just drop him into America and say, go be a slave. Go send as much money home as you possibly can. And what do you think's going to happen? There's booze at every truck stop. There's booze at every gas station. Guy has nothing to live for. No prospects, no family, no girlfriend. No one speaks his language. What do you think he's going to do? Lives in this crummy one-room apartment. No doubt Section 8 housing. No doubt we all pay for it. Like, what do you think's going to happen? You're going to blackout drunk, make bad decisions. That is the nihilistic vortex of doom that these men are on. And this is the predictable result. Secretary Sean Duffy. Let's go ahead and see. What does he have to say? This is outrageous. I mean, obviously, Sean Duffy's in charge of our roads in America. Wants to be in charge of, like, NASA. No. How about Sean Duffy? You be in charge of the roads first. Okay, why don't you secure our roads first? All right, leave space to the space people. You go be the road guy. Okay, take care of our roads first. Thank you. This is exactly why I set new restrictions to prohibit illegal immigrants, criminal aliens, please, but whatever, from operating trucks. California governor must join every other state in the United States in enforcing these new actions to prevent any more accidents and deaths. An accident is purposeful death. You gave someone from the single most dangerous driving culture in the world a driver's license to go kill Americans. That's what it is. There's a way to deal with this, by the way. I want to just talk about how is Florida handling this exactly. How did Florida handle the death of, so what happened in Florida is, of course, a California driver came to Florida and then killed people. Florida Attorney General is now saying tougher highway checkpoint inspections this morning, targeting criminal aliens and truck drivers who can't speak English. We're excited to support our agriculture and law enforcement and state police to ramp up inspection of state entry points for illegal aliens who may be operating large trucks from out-of-state driver's licenses. If you're here illegally and can't speak English, you have no business in Florida roads. Good. Red Kingdom. We need to have the Red Kingdom song loaded at all times. Red Kingdom. That's right. This is our kingdom. Can't speak English? Get the F out. Ron DeSantis, I appreciate Secretary Duffy pushing California on this. We saw what happened in Florida with a driver issued a CDL by California, even though he didn't speak English, killed 3 people while driving a semi. Good. Every state except for California, look at that. Every state, this was on October 20th, so it was before the actual new crash in California. Every state except California has complied with the USDOT rules that you must speak English to have a trucking license. Duh. We hope that they get on board now. We are withholding $40 million from the state. This is not about politics. This is about safety. Good. Good. Stephen Miller going berserker mode on this, saying it like rings like a bell here. Let's go.
You have Democrats in New York City, for example, encouraging the rioters who are assaulting ICE officers, removing criminal aliens from their communities. You have Democrats trying to create tracking apps to tell the criminals, the fugitives, the rapists, the killers, the cartel members where and when ICE is going to be. You have Governor Pritzker trying to get ICE out of his city to protect illegal alien monsters who are committing crimes against children, against women, instead of protecting American citizens. This is a party that has embraced full-scale insurrection against the laws of the United States. You look at that arrest in Canal Street, for example, those 9 individuals, all illegal immigrants from Africa, almost all of whom were released into the country by the Biden administration. You have among them dozens of arrests, forgery, counterfeiting, drug dealing, narcotics trafficking, assault, battery, theft, domestic violence. And Democrats are saying these illegal aliens caught and released by the Biden administration not only should stay in our country, but they'll violently attack any federal officer who tries to remove them. And then more breaking news reported out by Fox's own Bill Maloogian. 3 people just died in California, killed by an illegal alien on the road, driving a semi-truck that was allowed into the country, caught and released by Joe Biden, and put on the road by Gavin Newsom. How much more blood has to be spilled by Democrats, Sean, before this madness stops?
I want to give a massive shout out to the Trump administration on this. The Canal Street in New York City is just something called a no-go zone. And it shouldn't, you shouldn't have those in your country. You have those in Africa, right? You shouldn't have those in America. But we do have no-go zones in this country, and you know it, and I know it. And the Trump administration, based on the incredible reporting of a young reporter who's been featured on our program before, his name is Nick Shirley. He went walking down Canal Street, which is just one of those, they call it it's like they're selling like counterfeit watches and purses and stuff. What it really is drug resale. They don't get any money selling the purses. What they do is they sell the purse filled with drugs. And that's what they're actually selling in those markets. So when you see those kind of markets, it's not just like some poor African immigrant wanting to sell you beads. It's drugs. That's what they're actually doing. They're doing mainline narcotic resale. And Nick Shirley did the unspeakable, which was just walk through the open air drug market. Here's what it looked like.
Yo, what's up? We don't do no fucking camera. Fuck the fucking camera. Hey. Keep fucking pushing.
Hey.
Out of here with that shit.
Hey. Back off.
I said,
look at this.
You with your camera. Get the fuck out of here with that shit.
What a nice man.
Who you work for? Bitch ass nigga. Who the fuck you work for? Bitch, who you work for? Fuck you, nigga.
These are the engineers and doctors. These are the engineers and doctors that Joe Biden let into the country.
Hey. Out of here with that shit.
Yep.
You gonna get fucked up. I'm telling you,
Wait, back up.
Fucked up over here.
Back up.
This guy.
Back up.
This is what cultural enrichment looks like.
Get the fuck out of here. That's what y'all do, snitch ass motherfucker. Look at yourself in there.
Hey.
Take that shit somewhere else.
Hey. Why are you
it
mad at me?
Keep it pushing.
Why are you mad at me?
Take it over there somewhere else.
I am.
Yeah, you work for the fucking who you work for?
By myself.
All right, get out of here. With
Look,
that
I just bought some
camera.
Rolex.
That's right.
I just bought a
Fuck
Rolex.
you with the Rolex.
It's a
Fuck
fake
outta
one.
here.
It's a fake one.
It's a fake one. Go to the fucking store and get the real one. Get the fuck out of here with your cameras. Snitch ass motherfuckers. But what the fuck is y'all here for? This how the fuck we eat. That's how the fuck we eat. So get the fuck out of here.
I'm leaving.
So get the fuck out of here.
Where you come from?
You get the fuck out of here. I come from your mother, bitch.
Really?
You, bitch.
No, you didn't.
Fuck out of here.
Why are you mad at us? We can be here on the street. This is public street.
Yo,
we have the First Amendment.
Nigga. This our block, you bitch ass nigga. Get the fuck
This is your
out of
block?
here. Yeah, motherfucker. So somebody spend this motherfucker and take the camera away.
I can be here.
So
I don't have anything to be worried about.
This is
I'm
Nick
not doing
Shirley.
anything illegally. You see what happens? People come in from other countries illegally. They get mad at you on the streets of the United States, then they shouldn't be doing stuff illegally. Then they shouldn't be doing stuff illegally. Hey, hey. Hey, hey.
I will smash
this bitch. Hey.
Look at this.
Hey.
Look at this.
Hey.
This is just a 90-second video. Look at all the crimes that have been committed in these 90 seconds.
See what happens? That's the problem. If you just can't let this go on, people need to start standing on business. These people are selling illegally on the streets of New York City. Cameraman just got punched in the face. Took one for the team. He just took one cold right there. They're selling marijuana illegally. That's why they're mad. Thing is, these people don't have papers. You guys heard of there? He said this is his block. It's not his block. He's here illegally. He doesn't even have papers to be here.
Yeah, they're not here. So the Democrats will tell you, Democrats will protest to keep this guy here. Democrats will tell you that this man on the screen right now is the same man as your great-great-grandfather that came here. They'll say they're the same person. You're an immigrant. We're all immigrants in this country. That's what they'll say. Yeah, we are all immigrants. We're all immigrants here. That's what they'll say. They'll say this degenerate, low IQ criminal, troglodyte, orc, is the same as someone coming here to learn English, start a farm 100 years ago. No. Nope, I reject it. I reject it. I reject it. There are people who came here to build a new life and to build something, and then there are people who are coming here as parasites. And they're criminals. That's why we call them criminal aliens, and we've never stopped. They've always been criminal aliens, and that's what they are. And this man is a criminal. And I just want to do a massive shout out to the Trump administration for treating him like a criminal, because that's what he is. Trump administration rolled up strong to Canal Street in New York and busted these guys. They rolled through and arrested 9 African immigrants, criminal aliens, right? It's using like the corporate media headlines, but we're going to correct them. We will be the copy editor for the corporate media. They arrested 9 criminal aliens, and one of them was the guy who was up in the camera. Let's go ahead and talk about him for a second, shall we? I know that you had it up on screen, Klein, so let's go ahead and grab it. There we go. What a nice man. What a good guy. No, we're gonna need like the ALX. Can you give me the ICE description of this man? It's up on the official ICE X handle. What did he do exactly? He's such a scholar. He's such a scholar and a doctor. What exactly did he do for our nation? And why is he arrested? It's like would be a really fun explanation, because Democrats are actually going into the streets and protesting to keep this man in America. I know the producers will grab it and we'll lock it in. It's very, very, because guys, we have to show the results. Also, do you have the video of ICE rolling down the block? It's freaking awesome. They did put them in crystals. That's actually really funny. Okay, put that up. All right, come on. All right, guys. Here, let's do it. As we wait for our team to gather all of the exciting evidence here from the Trump administration and rolling up on Canal Street, clearing out Canal Street, we'll make sure that we do a shout out to the devices that they're gathering on, which is the Patriot Mobile devices. The Patriot Mobile devices obviously keep us connected everywhere that we go, and also make sure that we are supporting companies that support us. Patriot Mobile is a Christian conservative wireless provider that supports free speech in a free America. All the more important now, they're available on all 3 major networks and keep us locked and loaded while we are on the road. So take a stand today. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny and call 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code Benny for your first free month of service. That's patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT to make the switch today. Okay, here we go. Thank you, boys. Homeland Security. That nice man who was threatening Nick Shirley. such a scholar, such a doctor. Mamadou Noy is a criminal alien from Mali. Wow. I wonder what what's the GDP of Mali exactly? Right? What exactly? Why would we accept? Why have anyone from Mali in our country? Like, that's like a great question. Like, was that like what when you make a decision as to letting visitors into your country, letting people into your country, like shouldn't the basic question be, will they assimilate? Will they provide something? This is what Stephen Miller's asking right here. How much welfare do you think was given to these migrants, criminal aliens, during their stay in the United States? Who do you think paid for their housing, healthcare, and transportation? Let's read more about Mamadou. Mamadou is an illegal alien from Mali, issued a final order of removal by an immigration judge in 2008. 2008? Don't let me do your taxes. I'm not the best at math, but that's like 2 decades ago. It's close to 2 decades ago. Previously arrested for crimes including assault, reckless endangering, counterfeiting, third degree, unauthorized use of motor vehicle. Well, there we go. That's in line with our theme of the show. Criminal sale of narcotics, possessing a controlled substance, possession of marijuana for sale, making false reports to law enforcement, and resisting arrest. There you go. This is the person that Democrats right now, as we speak, are protesting in the streets for in New York. In New York, Democrats are freaking out, screaming and protesting and attacking ICE in order to keep Mamadou in the country. They are the party of criminals. There you go. Here's a protest. These are Democrats. These are Democrats protesting on behalf of this career criminal, violent career criminal, who was supposed to leave the country 2 decades ago. Got it. What a nightmare. What an absolute nightmare. Another California incident, driver from China. Goodness gracious. What a mess, these states. What a nightmare, these states. Dash cam bombshell. Wasn't for social media. You never know about this. A truck driver from China who spoke only Mandarin was given a commercial driver's license in California under Gavin Newsom. In June 2023, he caused a horrific crash in New Mexico. They're handing out CDLs to foreign drivers, and Americans are paying the price. Look at this. Oh, I mean, there's 0% survivability there. 0%. Jeez. Video shows how organized fraud is occurring on CDL tests, commercial driver's license tests. How does the cheating happen? Let's see.
So how does FHP say this cheating scheme works?
We were shocked to see the extent that they were going to.
Brian calls it organized fraud. According to investigators, the men went in here, the DMV on Roosevelt, to take the CDL test to drive a truck. But they are rigged up with equipment to get their answers.
And you see the actual apparatus that he's wearing. He has a chest harness that actually holds the phone.
A red iPhone in the harness, and under a t-shirt, you see the hole right there? So he comes in this t-shirt with a hole cut in it.
Yes.
Now watch this. In a video we've obtained from the DMV, this man opening his shirt. Brian says it's kind of like FaceTime. The men sit in front of a computer and wiggle around.
Their body language is abnormal.
Until somebody outside in a parking lot can read the test questions on the screen in English and then tell them through this earpiece in their language. Employees at the DMV got suspicious.
Most people don't start to disrobe when they take a DL test.
They're unbuttoning their shirts.
They are, indeed.
So the 5 men arrested so far, that's just the tip of the iceberg?
It is.
And this is happening all over the country. Maybe from Jacksonville we can make a difference.
What are we doing in this country? President Trump has closed the loopholes on the driver's license who can't speak English, thank God. Cannot believe what I'm reading. In California, complying with the federal government, starting on September 29th, 2025, California DMV cannot issue or renew any limited-term legal presence non-domiciled, meaning criminal alien, commercial driver's license. Very important update. Looks like withholding the money may well be working, but it's not good enough. You know, you've already let the cancer metastasize. You've already given enough criminal aliens who can't drive driver's licenses. It's extremely dangerous. Trump has closed the loophole. Again, we are very thankful to the Trump administration for this. Here we go.
Last week, Vivek Sharma went to the DMV to renew his trucking license, but he was denied. The problem? New rules surrounding the process. As he explains in Hindi, only green card holders and U.S. citizens can get their commercial driver's license renewed. Sharma's been in the U.S. legally for the past 10 years, seeking political asylum. His final court case is next year. He's been driving a truck for the past 8 years, but now he can't. Ab kya karenge aap? When asked what comes next, he says he's worried. Trucking paid well. The sudden stop in income means he won't have money to send back to his family in India. Now he will have to start over. The U.S. Department of Transportation issued emergency rules that require the DMV to stop issuing commercial driver's licenses, or CDLs, to drivers who are not U.S. citizens or permanent residents. Even those with legal work visas, like Sharma, will be denied. It says it's doing so to improve traffic safety and close loopholes in the law.
So the bro can't even complete a English interview. He's having to be interviewed in a language other than English. And he wants to be able to drive on our roads. Did you hear that? It's going to be really tough for me because I can't send all the money home. I can't take all of the resources that I've strip mined out of your functional country and send it to my dysfunctional country. They expect us to feel sorry for these people? No. Put them in the crystals. Put them in the crystals. Put them in the crystals. This is Department of Homeland Security. Send them to the crystal realm. I can't believe it's happening. I can't believe it. They've actually sent them to the crystal realm. These are the African criminal aliens rolled up on Canal Street. We actually have beautiful footage of that. We have footage of them going to the crystal realm, being sent, ladies and gentlemen, in to the crystal realm. This is not the footage that I want. Boys, I want the footage of the actual arrests on Canal Street, please. I want to see these guys get arrested. I want to watch it. Oh, yeah? Not available? Okay. Got it. All right. Well, then fine. How about this? Let's show you what Canal Street looks like after the fact. The footage is copyright, so can't play it. Sorry about that. But our friend Nick has an amazing clip here of what Canal Street looks like before and after. So here's what happened. Nick goes as an independent journalist, in case you're ever wondering the power of what we're doing here. Nick goes as an independent journalist, shows these guys attacking him and his cameraman. It's probably 12 different chargeable assaults on Nick's video. Please show the video. On Nick's original video, where these guys come attacking, the original video, please. Where these guys are attacking Nick and his team on the street. He goes there and he exposes this. He shows these guys coming after him. And because of this one independent reporter who just has a YouTube channel, the entire federal government decided to come, because of this man. It's amazing. Your hubris will be your undoing. It is biblical. We are living in biblical times. Because this guy decided that it was his block, when he's been here criminally for 2 decades, to sit there and sell drugs on. And Americans showed up to film him on a public sidewalk. He got sent to the crystal realm. DHS rolled up, arrested them all, cleaned out Canal Street, put them inside of the crystals, and now here's what Canal Street looks like a day later.
Here on Canal Street, and there are no signs of any street vendors after yesterday's raid. This street's completely clear. This street as well. The main spot is completely cleared as well. No signs of counterfeit scammers or drug dealers on the streets of New York City here on Canal Street today.
Well. We just want to say thank you to the Trump administration for this. It's obviously something that, you know, you don't like when you get wins like this. There's not enough people actually championing them and cheering them. But this is exactly why we do what we do every single day. This is what we're building. Look at the real world results from Nick and his independent journalism. Also, this is in New York. Every journalist on planet Earth lives in New York. But it takes an independent YouTuber to go through and actually expose this. And so we're just really like it's awesome. We've known Nick for a while. He's a good dude. It's amazing to see. Why is every good independent journalist named Nick? You got Nick Sotor, Nick Shirley. They're both doing great things. A man who's doing great things in Congress, whether it's closed or not, is, of course, the great Tim Burchett, who joins us live now to talk about sending more criminal aliens to the Crystal Realm. Let's go. Congressman, what's up? I like the Carhartt.
Thanks, brother. I've been working on my new skateboard.
Well, you could ride that through Canal Street now without being harassed or beat up by an African criminal alien. Isn't that neat?
And you know, what's behind all this? I was in a meeting a few months back, and we made inquiries about it. Apparently, it's based loosely with the organized crime, the mob, if you will. They bring these folks in, and they a lot of you know, you never hear what's in those trucks. And because a lot of times it's stolen, but there is no paper trail from where they picked it up to where they're going a lot of times. And so, I mean, these people are just dispensable, as you see. And then the people they kill are Americans, and they're obviously dispensable too. And this is what we had 4 years of the Biden administration. We never could get any answers. Served on the Transportation Committee, and it was just you know, they were concerned about bridges that had racial overtones or something. I can't remember some of you know, I would scratch. I look at somebody and go, did he just say that or she just say that? And that's what's happened. They were asleep at the switch, and this is what's happened in the last 4 years. This is an incredibly huge problem, and I mean, it's a national security issue. You know, I remember when I was in the state legislature and people laughed at me because they wanted to open up this highway, and I actually worked with organized labor to talk about it, because they had this highway situation where they could go almost, I think, through Texas, almost to Oklahoma without being checked from down in Central America. I mean, you can imagine if somebody were to bring in a dirty bomb or a nuke or a biological entity, just the problems all this could make. And now, of course, you're seeing with this is just a manifestation. They saw the looseness then, and they're seeing it even worse now. That's why you're having all this.
So that's very interesting, Congressman. Can you explain, like, exactly who's employing these individuals? Because if you can't speak English, and if you're not here legally, then you would know. We're talking about we want truckers. Thank you, Klein.
Yeah.
If you can't speak English and you're not here legally, then who's providing? Like, are they driving for Walmart?
No.
Like, so you're saying that they're driving for a criminal enterprise?
Yeah, if you I full load cars and motorcycles, at least I used to. And you get them shipped all over the country. You just call the 1-800 number, and you're calling this, you know, international shippers. We ship worldwide, and all they are is brokers, and they just put this stuff out, and then they get and a lot of times it's just a cash transaction, and you can ship. This is just a bigger ploy of that. And I believe they're using some of these brokers to do that. And there's very little record. And then when they go back to the XYZ company that employed them, I mean, that was just on a sheet of paper. And it's just complete lawlessness, the whole thing. But you got to go back to your Department of Transportation at some level. Somebody's getting paid off to do this, because you have to take a test. You have to be able to fill out the forms. And if you're not able to do that, I mean, is that one guy speaking in Hindi, I think it was earlier, that was an excellent report, by the way, that showed the problem. And they obviously are paying somebody off in the department, and you've got to get back to them. But the problem is, you know, these guys are not going to talk. They're just basically paid cash, probably, and they move on along down the line, and they'll end up somewhere else unless we deport them immediately or imprison them. If they kill somebody, we need to imprison them.
So the only real purpose of the federal government, I think you'd agree with me on this, Congressman, maybe one of the only members of Congress that would agree with me, is the protection of the citizenry of America. We want to constitute a government to make sure that we have big, scary, standing army and military so nobody attacks us, so that we can protect our borders, and then a Department of Justice to make sure that criminals get justice, right? And so like the protection and the institution of law and order is the foremost and highest calling and best purpose of a government. And I agree with that, right? And I'm not fully anarcho-libertarian or anything. I think that it's important to have an orderly society and have structures. And so my question to you, given that, is why would we let criminal alien drivers from India, of all places, on our roads? India has the single deadliest roads in all of the world. Now, these roads are deadly. Almost 200,000 people died last year in India in traffic accidents. 200,000 is a obscene number. What are these? What's the cause of these accidents exactly? Well, look at this. This is from Google. Over 87% of accidents were attributed to human factors like speeding, reckless driving, drunk driving, and fatigue. And we just saw that happen yesterday, where a drunk driver from India speeding, driving what is absolutely what could be a weapon of mass destruction, which is an 18-wheeler with 10 tons on it, just smashing through standing traffic in California. It slaughters a bunch of people. And I guess the question I have is why, what possible explanation could there be for such flippant allowance of some of the deadliest driving culture in America, in the world, to come to America, give them a license to drive the most dangerous vehicles on the road, with the sole purpose of sending all that any money they make right back to India? That's suicidal, from my perspective.
Yeah. One word: greed. Just greed. And you got somebody at the Department of Transportation that takes a payoff, that turns their head and lets this go, and then you got a organized crime syndicate that's very willing to risk somebody's life to move stolen goods. They have nothing. It's 100% profit. It's just that's all it is. It's greed, and I think now under our new administration, though, they're going to see some people get popped. And thank goodness for folks like yourself that are putting this message out, because America's not seeing this until some 18-wheeler runs through a barrier and kills their family, and the national media is not going to play it up because we're a bunch of racists. They're gonna. But the reality is, if you can't read a dadgum stop sign, you don't need to be driving in our dadgum country. That's it. You don't need to be in our country, actually. I love, they said, I saw a billboard somewhere, it was talking about deporting. It's not deporting some of the illegal aliens, it's deporting all of them. And then we start the system all over again and recreate it, because what they've done now just isn't working.
So what would be the Tim Burchett laws for driving in America? If Tim Burchett was, if you were made Burger King for the day, what would be the rules there?
Oh, the onions, extra pickles, extra ketchup, but and no mayonnaise, no mayonnaise, no on the mayonnaise, absolutely no mayonnaise. No, you got to be able to read and write English. You have to be able to speak English. Because if you can't speak English, there's obviously a problem there. And you have to pass the driver's test. And I would say you need to be an American citizen, or at least have a legitimate green card. And we're going to have to go revisit that, because you know good and well that's not worked out appropriately, because there's the greed factor. I think we've got to have better verification, and I'm afraid what we're going to end up pushing towards is a national license, and I don't like that. I like it when you and I are in charge, but when somebody else is in charge, I'm going to have a problem with that. So I like state verification under some federal guidelines.
I agree with that. Obviously, I agree with the states answering to the DOT, but ultimately having their own capacity to issue licenses. I think that's critically important.
The federal government would just mess it up. You know as well as I do. They'd get in there. Trump would set up something really great, and then 8 years down the road would be worse shape because some lunatic that could inhabit the White House.
Congressman, I was obviously referring to your video here in response to the No Kings protest here at Burger King. An excellent retort to the marches.
I can't believe nobody else did that. I came up with it, and I told my guys, I said, don't tell anybody we're going to do this. They go, okay, whatever, boss. And we did it in one take. We were speaking at another event, and I said, there's a Burger King, pull over, get me a Whopper, I'm hungry. And then they said, can we get a crown? I said, why, sure. And boom, there it was. TV magic.
What is your message to the No Kings protesters?
I would say, y'all get back to work. That $15 an hour that you're being paid isn't helping too much. I think they said 7 million. Well, I think 71 million elected our president, and he's not a dadgum king.
I think you're giving them too much credit, Congressman. I don't think they're working any jobs. I've seen too many videos. I don't think.
I just giving them the benefit of the doubt, Benny.
They're working at all. All right, last question here. Benefit of the doubt is something I don't give the FBI on January 6th. Now the FBI under new leadership and tutelage is saying, look, here's the pipe bomber suspect. Here's new video. It's only been 5 years, and here's some new video.
It's old video.
Mm-hmm. Old video. But here it is. And my question to you is, what the hell's going on here exactly? Why are we even having this conversation? Rand Paul was on yesterday, and he's like, he was talking all about like tapping people's phones and how they can tap anyone's phones. They tap your phones. They tap all of his Senate colleagues' phones. They tap Lindsey Graham's phone. They spied on him. This seems to be the only guy in history that the feds are incapable of actually tracking his cell phone. It's really curious. The FBI does seem to, the current FBI does seem to want to find him, I think, right? And they've released new footage, new footage. What's the status here, Congressman?
My thoughts from the beginning was I think it's a Fed somewhere. This is a deep state. Will we ever find out? We'll probably find somebody dead who shot themselves in the back of the head 13 times and admits that it's them. And it'll probably be somebody 6'5", And I've seen pictures of too many things that would lead me to believe otherwise of what it really is. This whole thing was a sham. You had how many? Over 100 federal agents in the mob, encouraging people to go in. You had some good people caught up in it, and you had some dirtbags, and it was the perfect storm. And then lo and behold, you had the former speaker, who was the speaker at the time, was filming a documentary at the time. And, the whole thing just stinks. It's one of those deals it's so far gone, I don't know if we'll ever know. And whoever knows is probably dead or sitting on some island somewhere with a fruity drink, enjoying a nice retirement. And I know you and I are conspiracy theorists, but dadgummit, we're modern day prophets. They ought to call this the Elijah Show. Because every time I'm on with you, we busted the honeypots. We've done it like 3 times. And people are like, and here they go. They're going to call me and say, Burchett, man, you can't be saying this stuff. And I say, it's the truth, though. And they go, we know it's the truth, but you can't be saying it. Right. So, man, I do want to say one thing, though, Benny. If you want to build skateboards, we ought to do a whole series on me trying to build skateboards, because I'm trying to start this little business. And the crazy thing is, I can't do it. I got to go through ethics. I'm looking at this business plan that I had drawn up. I got to get an attorney. But dadgummit, if you want to do insider trading on stocks, you become a member of Congress.
Oh yes, that's right. You making skateboards with your own 2 hands in your barn with your mule watching, your jackass watching you.
Donkeys.
Like donkeys watching you. That's the real scandal here. Nancy Pelosi making $300,000 on a minimum wage salary, that's not a scandal. That's not a scandal. Remember, she doesn't like kings, you know. She's just been in office for 40 years. The average reign of an English king was 18. Nancy Pelosi actually has more money than most kings ever had in their treasuries.
If Republicans could just message one time, you know, the youth, that's what they always say, the youth are what's in the Democrat Party. Well, show who's running the freaking Democrat Party right now. I mean, Schumer came over with Noah. I mean, give me a freaking break, you know?
Oh man, that's the headline, man. I'm telling you, they're gonna come after this pipe bomb, or they're gonna find a guy who shot himself 15 times in the back of the head. You're exactly right.
Hey, Benny, one last thing. I
Foster.
appreciate you keeping Charlie Kirk's memory alive, and I appreciate your Christian walk, and I appreciate you being a family man, taking care of those kids. Nothing more important, brother.
You know what? It's easy. It's easy. I don't pretend to be the smartest guy around. It's easy to live out your values when you're not lying and when you can just tell the truth. And that's all I've ever done. I just want to defend my friend, and I want to defend this way of life. And it's a good way of life. And everything proves it, actually.
We're
winning, actually. We're winning, Congressman, which is the best. I have Callie Means on next, and we're going to talk about this, actually, because he's a great family man as well. But we're actually winning.
My dad had a saying. He said, "You know what I do at night, buddy?" And I said, "No, what, Daddy?" And he said, "I sleep." Didn't worry about what he did during the day. My dad was a good, honorable guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, brother.
From good, honorable stock, everyone follow Tim Burchett right here. And I think there might be a photo of your daddy's cemetery, perhaps, right there.
That's it. Mom and Dad are buried right there. Yeah. Veterans.
Is that your dad's gun behind you?
No, that's actually a gun he took off of a Japanese soldier that he killed. So
okay.
I got 3 of them up there. He killed a lot of people, but he was a patriot. And my mama flew an airplane during the war.
There you go.
So my wife is I married quite a patriotic lady herself. So all just kind of worked out pretty good for me.
All right. Well, we hope she's not jealous of your bestie, your communist bestie, AOC. You just hope. You just hope that
she'd whoop her. You know, AOC ain't. She ain't worried about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the great Tim Burchett. Godspeed, Congressman.
Thank you, brother.
Goodness, how much fun. I can't wait to continue that conversation, actually, with our next guest, Callie Means. Creating a environment in this country where young people not only can be encouraged to start families and raise families, but also have the capacity to do that, where society is actually focused on that end instead of preventing it, would be really, really nice. American Financing are friends and partners of the show. They want you to have the capacity to seize the American dream. You can't do that when you're in modern day slavery. That is what exponential credit card debt is. Some of these credit card debt rates are obviously criminal, in my personal opinion. 20 and 30%. That's just straight up usury. I mean, it's like, it shouldn't be allowed. Anyway, a lot of Americans are caught in that. Call American Financing if you're one of them. You know, thousands of Americans are doing this, and they're able to refinance and get out of that high interest credit card debt that is literally designed to be modern day slavery. Call today. American Financing, 888-528-1219. That's 888-528-1219. AmericanFinancing.net/Benny to make sure that you are out of debt. That is what I want. Ladies and gentlemen, America owes a debt to my next guest. Callie Means is the advisor to the Trump White House, advisor to RFK Jr. Many have called him the mastermind behind Maha. The Maha mastermind is what I call him. And he's a dear friend of the show, and he joins us live now. Callie, welcome back to the program. Thank you for your patience this morning. Tim Burchett, that man can just spin a yarn.
That was great.
Yeah, dude. Okay, so like he was talking about something that I think is very near and dear to both of our hearts, and it's how I'd like to actually address this conversation, because I'm no scientist, and I look forward to you and you and Nurse Kate. You guys can talk the science of all of this. I don't have that background. The background that I do have is I'm a proud father, and I want like more young men to embrace that and to fall in love, get married, own land, to have homes, to start families. And I want to talk about the science behind all of that. And obviously, you have spent your life working on this question. But perhaps I'd like an open question for you. Like, how do we even begin to start that process? And I'll just end with this, a special note here from Gallup, that young Trump voters, young men who you have spoken to for your entire career, those young men, you've won, dude. Charlie won because they listed fatherhood, starting a family, as their number one priority. Out of 14 different priorities, fatherhood was number one for young male Trump voters under 30. So we've won that battle. Now what do we do for these guys?
I think we got to keep the pedal to the metal here, because I think what's happening at the Trump White House is, and I think this came through with the Charlie Kirk Memorial and your comments and everyone's comments there. There wasn't a mention of real policy, really. And when it comes to healthcare,
yes,
you know, what's causing issues in this country and this feeling of a lot of people that we're going the wrong direction isn't the Medicare reimbursement rates. You know, it's not the doc fix issues that they're talking about in Congress, all this minutia. There's really something spiritual happening. And I think what President Trump and Secretary Kennedy are opening up. I think our medical system has been anti-life. I mean, when my sister was at Stanford Medical School, you know, the kind of motherhood is kind of seen as a burden. At Harvard Medical School and Stanford Medical School, I think still to this day, they're not allowed to say the word mother. They say the word birthing person. You know, going to Stanford and Harvard and kind of seeing in this world, you know, it's just ingrained in our generation that starting a family was kind of a less than activity, that being a mom was a less than activity, that cooking for the family, cooking healthy food is a less than activity. So there's really forces, I think, that have led us in the wrong direction over the last couple decades. And that's what we're talking about at the White House. I mean, healthcare policy is very important. I think the government shut down over Obamacare, which has been a total disaster. We need to think hard on healthcare policy. But I think there's a real license that's being given to the American people right now for a conversation that's more cultural. It gets to the foundation of our priorities as a country. And that filters into the MAHA priorities we're pushing. I mean, I'm just looking at polling here and the American people when they're asked about big issues, you know, pharma corruption, putting too much influence in public policy on drugging and drugging kids instead of getting the root cause of what they're doing. 90% of people support that. Childhood obesity, I can't think of a more glaring example of our cultural prioritization of children and where we've lost our way, that 50% of teens are overweight or obese, 90% of Americans think that's a massive issue. The toxic chemicals in our environment, many of these chemicals are really important, but having a real conversation about that. Clearly, our children's hormones are being absolutely bombarded. Girls often are hitting puberty 5 years earlier than they did a generation ago. Unhealthy food. I mean, you know, supporting our farmers. 90% of people think that's a major issue. So these are the type of issues that I think get to this, you know, almost spiritual concept of what we're prioritizing as a country. And I do think, Benny, I think in 50 years, when history books are written, we're going to look at U.S. fertility and birth rates. We're going to look at childhood obesity rates, childhood diabetes rates. These rates are all going to improve, and it's going to start this year because all of those are going in the wrong direction now. And I think what's happening in the conversation that the Trump administration is opening is not going back in the bottle, and it's just going to we're just going to see better and better results.
Can you talk to me about a study that sent a chill through certainly my family's dinner table, as it was the conversation 2 nights ago of a Harvard study that tried to use more finite data to track obesity, assuming that they would get lower numbers for American obesity, that they weren't using the right BMI numbers, and perhaps that they could actually fine-tune the obesity rates in America. And it ended up kicking back to a 70% obesity rate in the country. That's obscene, Callie.
70% obesity. And listen, Benny,
do you agree with that study?
Yeah.
Do you track that? Do you agree? Do you think that that's a good?
It's unbelievable. We've been undercounting it. You know, for teens, it's when you add up overweight and obesity, it's over 50%, but it's 70% obesity. So what is obesity? This is something that if you had 100 years ago, literally there was a case report written about it because it was so rare. And you were in the circus, like somebody that would just be an average American today would be literally they'd be in the circus. 100 years ago. This is an absolutely unprecedented phenomenon of our bodies crying out for help. And it's a visible symbol of what's happening invisibly in our body. I mean, you've got over 50% of the US population diabetic or pre-diabetic. This is 33% of young adults and teens are pre-diabetic. This is something that would have been 0 cases a generation ago. And I also think it's important, Benny, we don't want to give Europe much credit, and they don't deserve much credit for most things. But it's a pronounced difference between the U.S. and the other developed countries. I mean, we have 6 times the childhood obesity rate in the United States versus other countries, 6 to 8 times higher childhood diabetes rates. I mean, this is in Japan, the number of obese adults is somewhere in the realm of 3%. And we're talking, so there's pronounced differences. And then we're talking about healthcare costs. Again, this is not a policy issue. The reason we have the highest healthcare costs in the world is because we are the sickest population in the developed world. Today in America, we have the highest cancer rates of any society in the history of human civilization. So when I look at this, and when Secretary Kennedy looks at this, when President Trump looks at this, this is not because there's something inherently wrong with the American people. There is something systemic happening. And I think the foundation of MAGA, to me, is asking tough questions about the incentives in our military industrial complex, in our education industrial complex, what's happened to immigration and health. There's corporate capture, corruption, incentives that have led this to happen, and we need to ask tough questions. And the problem is that the media is funded by these very industries that profit from these rates. There's been nothing more profitable to the U.S. economy, quite frankly, than obesity, because healthcare is the largest part of the U.S. economy right now. It's 30% of the federal budget. And that money based on corruption is going to companies that profit from higher obesity rates. They'll lose money if Americans thrive. They'll lose money if we start reading the Bible, going to church, cooking for our families, having more kids, getting back to basics. They will lose money if that happens. So I think there is, and it's not individuals. We're meeting with all these people. There's good people in the farm industry, good people in these other industries, but there are forces that are very dark here that have profited from those increased rates of obesity.
You've been doing God's work, and it's been remarkable to see. I mean, everything from pharmaceutical prices to from the drug companies to the manufacturers of food, taking the dyes out of the food. It seems like there has been a remarkable number of wins, and I want to see the numbers turn around. And I think you're right. When history tells this tale, this will be the moment. There's a fascinating, since you brought it up, there's a fascinating chart that caught my attention last week. I want to get your response to this, which is the fertility rates between conservatives and progressives in the country. And perhaps you've seen this. This is a data that's been tracked and pretty regularly, pretty scientifically. And what you can see here is that conservatives have, while the fertility rate for progressives have absolutely and totally collapsed through the floor, conservatives have lost about a point, but have sort of been bending the curve, hopefully. Obviously, being a family man, being a father is something that is right-wing coded. All available data shows this. If you're 30 and above and you have no kids, there's a 72% chance that you are a Democrat or a progressive. 55% of all fathers are Republicans in this country. Family creation, family units is something that is done by people who feel a strong sense of community and a strong sense of purpose in this country. What party does that describe? And I think this makes a lot of sense, but I'm not the scientist here, Callie. What does this chart say to you? Why the difference here in these two worldviews in fertility rates?
I think the conservatives are more and more questioning the psyop that's happened over the past 30 years, where women were told that it's, a less than activity to give birth, a less than activity to have a family, where so many forces of our healthcare system, our agriculture system were about, I think, anti-life concepts. And I think the Trump party, the MAGA movement, fundamentally for me is about courage of questioning the existing assumptions that we've been led to believe in our schools and led to believe from our healthcare institutions. We're the CDC. We're getting grilled by the media for taking on the CDC leadership. The CDC released a while back a document on the 10 greatest advancements in public health in human history. And abortion was on there. And smaller family sizes was on the CDC website as one of the most important advancements in the history of human health. I can't express to you, and this is everyone watching, with the messy news on all these fronts, it is impossible for the Trump administration to take on the orthodoxy that's led to our immigration system, that's led to from the top of the CDC, a feeling that smaller families is a public health miracle, from the ingrained incentives, the anti-life incentives in our healthcare system that says that it is impossible. And this is what is said in the guidance right now that we're inheriting, that it is impossible and actually sexist to assume that mothers can cook healthy food for their children, and the best we can possibly do is feed kids ultra-processed crap because it's actually sexist because moms are working so hard. We can't possibly expect mothers to cook healthy food for their kids. I cannot tell you how much I hear that, Benny, from leaders in public health. The DEI argument that we cannot ask mothers and cannot expect American families to cook healthy food for their kids. So the best we can possibly do is feed the kids ultra-processed crap and then figure out better drugs to give to kids. And now 40% of teens are on a pharmaceutical product. This is the ingrained culture in every single institution, an anti-life culture that the Trump administration, President Trump, sits at his desk every single day, calls Secretary Kennedy, calls the other administration officials and says, I've got your back, go hard, get these people out, refresh the culture, refresh this. And I think when it comes to health, to a more pro-life in every single respect mindset. So I think conservatives are questioning that. And my hope, Benny, because of course this is bipartisan. Of course, and according to these polls, every American wants something different. If we can keep fighting, keep winning, keep MAGA as the preeminent dominant force in American politics the next 10 years, we're going to change the overall culture of this country. And I think even those progressives are going to come on board and realize we really lost our way.
Men are already there. If you go to any college campus and ask young men, do you want low or high fertility?
Right.
In yourself, you as a man. What do you think the question is going to be? What do you think 1,000 out of 1,000 young college-age males are going to say? And this is something that I think is really good because this is going to be obviously a driving culture. Here's the chart, by the way, the polling from Gallup that says that young men want to start families. That is the number one goal for a young Trump supporter. The family creation. We will never get this again, Callie. This is a generational opportunity to crush our enemies, to defeat neo-Marxism and whatever pagan sick ideology is out there that is trying to warp and destroy the minds of young men. We have this opportunity. What is your message to these young men from a scientific perspective about, one, raising your fertility rate, like raising the capacity for you to have families, to have healthy children? You are the master at this, Callie. Preach to these young men.
There's something very subversive to the powers that be of those stats. I just read an article about China, and they're actually stepping up. They're jailing Christian pastors who are talking about these exact concepts of better family values. There's actually in the past month a massive crackdown of a network in China because Christianity is essentially banned, but people are doing it online and services online. These people are being jailed and they're disappearing, the Christian pastors. There's something with authoritarian governments, with governments that want to send our children to public schools, to indoctrinate them, to have them sedentary. 40% of schools don't even have required recess, to feed ultra-processed food down their throats, to tell boys that it's not appropriate to be masculine, to tell girls that the best thing they can possibly do for the world is go out and work in a cubicle and motherhood is denigrated. There's forces, and it's related to this Maha element. What I tell those men is keep going. Listen to the message of Charlie Kirk. This is not a political issue. It's a spiritual issue. And politically, what I would say to everybody listening is this political moment is opening up and giving license to this messy cultural conversation that's happening. I think what's happening in the country, as Charlie said, is much more important than what's being voted on in Congress, or even the policies coming out of the White House. There's a cultural momentum happening where there's a rare generational moment to rethink our priorities as a country. Based on what you just said, Benny, I agree. This is a singular moment. But I do think what the Trump administration is doing is they are encouraging this conversation. The most inspiring part for me, Benny, seeing inside that White House is everyone knows they're giving license to a very messy conversation, but it has to happen. Usually people try to control things more. Usually the government is trying to control things. We're encouraging this conversation about spirituality, about core concepts like feminism and how we think about that, about the family, about everything that impacts our health, like food, how we make it, to our pharmaceutical paradigms, our prioritizations as a country. What I think is important for everyone to realize is you need to keep supporting this movement. I think politically it is existential to the survival of this country that MAGA is the preeminent political movement in the next 10 years. We need to keep going. We need to grow this movement because that movement is giving license to this conversation continuing. I think on the other side, they are trying to denigrate this conversation. They're trying to call us racist, sexist, all the different things. They're trying to characterize this movement as they're doing with Secretary Kennedy and President Trump, who are getting maligned on every single thing they say. We need to keep this going and win. We have to win because the political moment gives the license to this wider cultural conversation.
You brought up processed food in virtually every single answer. Obviously, you're featured here in this brand new documentary available on Amazon and Apple, Breaking Big Food. You are one of the cast members here who gives your expert opinion along with an all-star cast, talking through how to make sure that we are not poisoning ourselves as a country. Can you please sort of set the table, as it were, for this documentary?
Benny, I love how you open the conversation, and we're not just talking about food. The reason I go to food a lot is because I think it's very important, but it's also a gateway to really have people question our priorities as a country that gets to much larger spiritual and cultural issues. What this film does is, to me, represents the greatest accomplishment of the MAHA movement, of the Trump administration when it comes to health, which again is not the policy, but this movie highlights individual moms, individual families who were kind of on that treadmill, thinking less kids was better, thinking, oh, I'm too busy to not serve the kids anything other than ultra processed crap, thinking that a good American was somebody that unquestionably listened to their pediatricians and just did everything they said with no questions asked. That's how I was raised. That's how I used to be. That's how a lot of us used to be. We used to trust institutions. And I think the food issue is one of the biggest gateway drugs, quite frankly, to realizing we've really been lied to. We've really been lied to in the nutrition guidelines, which, by the way, are going to be updated very soon by the Trump administration. But until today, they have never said that ultra-processed or highly processed food was harmful for kids. Right now, 70% of a child's diet is ultra-processed food. That used to be 0% 50 years ago, and in other countries, that's 10%. We've denigrated, I think, our farmers, quite frankly. We spend 6% of our national income on food and 24% on healthcare, whereas Europe spends almost the reverse. They spend much more of their income on food and much less on healthcare because they're less sick. So what this movie talks about, I think, as many viewers, I know I've talked to Kate a lot about this, there's just a awakening happening in this country about these fundamental concepts that it's not just health, right? It's just like when you look at a child today, we have a culture that is giving them 78 shots, and you're a horrible person for questioning any of those shots, which the Trump administration is brave enough to at least ask questions about. You have ultra-processed food being jammed down their throats. We're firing pharmaceutical products down their throats. Kids today are exposed to more toxins. They're exposed to phones. A teenager spends 9 hours a day on their phone. These are all, not necessarily things we should ban, but they're things we should be talking about. They're clearly impacting our child's hormones. And they're clearly things as a family unit, we need to question what our priorities are. It is so positive, Benny, that in the last year, actually, the stats are incredible. You've seen this and you've talked about this. People are going back to church, and that's been declining for a long time. That's changing dramatically, particularly after Charlie Kirk. Snacking in this country has gone down 7%. So the stock market's ripping, but actually junk food companies are doing badly, which I think is good. We're talking to a lot of them, but they're going to have to reassess what the market's telling them. We have people, a tsunami of moms asking their pediatricians more questions, which I think is a good thing. And the greatest thing I hear, and is highlighted in this movie, is when moms wake up, they're going to their local school board, they're getting better local food in their schools, they're getting cell phones out of schools. That's what the Trump administration's doing, Benny. We're going to be going to the midterms, working with every single red state in the country and even a couple blue states. We're improving food in schools. We're getting cell phones out of schools. The presidential fitness test, which is a huge priority for President Trump, we're integrating throughout the country. We're getting these basics right. And I think that, as this movie highlights, that's the tip of the iceberg to, I think, this invitation to this larger cultural prioritization, spiritual prioritization conversation that you talk about so eloquently, Benny.
Can I tell you something just really embarrassing to end this conversation? This is just between me and you, okay, and then thousands and thousands of people watching live. One of the most common texts I get now is, hey, bro, me and my wife, we're pregnant, like, and she's so scared about like what's going to happen next. Can you give me like Nurse Kate's number? Like, we want to talk about these. We want to talk about the shots and the drugs and like what's good and what's not. And I'm like, they're just constantly like passing them off, right? Because like people are locked in now. You're exactly right. Like people are like, wait a second, I've just been lied to. Like everything, COVID, all of it, I just been lied to. Rand Paul was on yesterday and he just like ripped for 30 straight minutes on like the evils of Fauci, you know, in the COVID, you know, moment. And how just antithetical to human flourishing and science and all of it was. And that just like broke so many people. And it's like an incredible opportunity to just reframe the conversation. I'm just really proud that you guys are doing it. It's just awesome. I even in my own small capacity have seen it, you know, in our lives. And people are searching now for real answers. That alone, that questioning alone is like a massive victory.
And there's nothing more correlated with a healthy American than having a stable family unit. It all leads to that. Everything, and I got to say, Casey, who looks like will be testifying next week, my sister, talks about this more eloquently and more beautiful than anything. It is not just a tactical policy issue. This all gets back to the family, respect for children, respect for the awe of our bodies and the interconnectivity of our bodies. That's the conversation that I think the Trump administration is very proud that we're opening up. And it's messy. This is messy, but we need to be having it.
Your body is a temple. Yep, your body's a temple. If you're a Christian, you got to understand, like, your body's a temple. You should treat it like that. And I think too many Christians forget that. Callie Means is not one of those. Here's Big Food, Breaking Big Food. Here's the website right here. The film is remarkable. He's, you know, sort of scroll through. You can see Callie obviously driving the conversation here. Something perhaps critical to watch during Thanksgiving holiday, right? Or
I think it's a great family movie. It's some good friends created this, and it's going viral. It's a great family movie to watch with their kids.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You can follow Callie Means right here. He has hundreds of thousands, actually close to 400,000 subscribers on X. Make sure that
not as many as you.
Make sure that
you're the man, Vinny.
It's my great honor to fight alongside you, Callie. You know, Godspeed, man.
Thanks, man.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, some big breaking news here. Kash Patel announcing the takedown of a massive illegal gambling ring involving coordination between NBA players, coaches, and mafia crime families. Whoa! This happened live while we were on the show. It just happened live seconds ago. Luckily for us, we have Harmeet Dillon from the Justice Department. You can see the emblem there where Kash Patel is giving this announcement. Is the Justice Department emblem. Harmeet Dillon is the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights at the U.S. Justice Department. And she's joining our show live right now. Perhaps she can comment on this. I don't know if she's read in on it. It's a massive department, but let's find out. The great Harmeet Dillon live now. Harmeet, I appreciate your patience today. We had Tim Burchett on, and that guy can just spin a yarn. And so, like, just pushes, you know, he's just such a legend, but it just kind of pushes the conversations on the program. So thank you for your patience. Breaking news out of the Justice Department. I read this morning. This is crazy. Can you inform or elucidate for the audience what's going on here?
Well, I don't know any more about it than you do. It is the criminal division, but I do see a very fine United States attorney there, Joe Nocella of the Eastern District of New York, who I've had the privilege to meet and talk with. And so this is obviously a breaking story. It looks like some big NBA stars and some organized crime folks are ensnared in a multi-person conspiracy to throw sports games for money, and obviously big money. Some of the details in the complaint that have been reported include, you know, throwing a game for $200,000. I mean, these are people who are already worth tens of millions of dollars. So you have to kind of, the mind boggles at the greed to already be very well compensated as a, you know, professional athlete, and then also need a little more. We'll find out the whole story, but it's a compelling story.
Yeah. You know, you just like you read the Bible and you learn about greed and how it is just the undoing of all men in all generations. And yeah, do your best to stay humble and just be humbled by God's grace. Probably like the best way to live life. Crochet a little bit, go garden, right? Like thank you, Harmeet, for teaching us those valuable lessons. You've also been teaching us.
I don't crochet, but crocheting is also good. Yes.
Forgive me, I'm not educated in the slang. You knit, yes. And Harmeet Dillon very famously told me a couple of years ago that I'm not rich enough to buy one of her knit sweaters. So it is actually a goal. It's on my vision board, Harmeet, to eventually purchase a Harmeet Dillon knit sweater, which are beautiful. Something that you've done at the Supreme Court is also very beautiful, and I'm so happy to finally get you on to talk about it. This was all the rage last week, talking about Section 2 of the Voter Rights Act, and Ketanji Brown Jackson saying that black people are disabled, which is a wild thing to say. Here's the headline. We just want to prove that is in fact what she said. Ketanji Brown Jackson refers to black Americans as disabled during Supreme Court hearing arguing for racist congressional districts. Prima facie, it seems insanely corrupt and wrong to divide up America's population by race. It just seems to be antithetical to the entire founding of this country. But you argued at the Supreme Court against this, and it seems like it went really well. Harmeet, can you update us?
Well, sure. Well, thanks for asking. Now, I co-authored the brief of the United States in this case, and it was very ably argued by the Principal Deputy Solicitor General Hash Mupin. And this was one of the more fascinating oral arguments I've ever seen. It was 2.5 hours long. Every justice asked questions, and most of them asked questions of all four of the lawyers who participated. And I do think that the position of the United States, which is that discrimination by using race to gerrymander districts to carve out special districts for people of color is almost never going to be legal under the Equal Protection and is not required by the Voting Rights Act anymore. Now, the history of our country, of course, is that white governors in the South and legislatures did their best to try to suppress African Americans from being able to have their rightful representation. But it's 2025 now, and as my colleague from the DOJ argued in our argument for the United States, 75% of the African Americans elected to Congress are not from Voting Rights Act gerrymandered districts. In other words, they competed in a normal district and they won because Americans aren't racist. And one of the very funny and interesting comments made by the NAACP lawyer arguing for these racially gerrymandered districts was, we need them because white Democrats won't vote for black Democrats. So, hey, that's a Democrat problem. That's not an American problem. And we do not need to be using race, I think, in 2025. And so the Supreme Court has a long line of cases, and one of them is Jingles versus Thornburg, that effectively compels states to use race in these analyses. And I think that's outdated today. The Supreme Court has been getting away from that, and Students for Fair Admissions and in Ames versus Ohio has increasingly said that majority Americans have equal protection rights as well. And that is the principle that I think is going to prevail here in this either 5-4, 6-3. That's my prediction, but we'll see.
I just can't imagine something that could be more poorly argued at the Supreme Court. You often don't see, Harmeet, in my industry, Supreme Court arguments going viral. But you are exactly right. We saw that argument go viral, that white Democrats would never vote for a black person. In order to counter that, actually, we had Byron Donalds and Wesley Hunt on our program, who are both black men representing white majority districts for the Republican Party. And they had some very interesting responses. And they also had very interesting responses to Ketanji Brown Jackson with this whole disabled argument. Can you break this down for me? She's just running up like the SNL skits, I guess, at this point. I don't know what a woman is. I'm not a biologist. Black people are disabled. What was this argument, Harmeet?
So the argument that she was making is not that black people were disabled, but she was analogizing the remedy of the Voting Rights Act being race-based redistricting to a permanent remedy under the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is, okay, if you have disabled Americans, you fix that by accommodating them. But we don't have permanent racism in America. I would argue we don't have it anymore at all within the meaning of the Voting Rights Act sufficient to require this. Now, perhaps there might be some incident in the future, but today I don't think it's necessary. And the examples of the guests that you brought on are very instructive. Nobody is forced in America to draw their districts to help Republicans elect African American or Latino candidates or Asian candidates. It is a one-way ratchet to protect the Democrat Party, and it is just unnecessary and outdated and frankly offensive. And what happened in this case was the NAACP wasn't happy with one racially gerrymandered district in Louisiana. It sued to get a second one. And then white voters who were impacted by being effectively disenfranchised because that was going to be a Democrat district and they would have voted differently. They sued to say, hey, hold on, we have rights too in America. And then there are a number of other interesting things that came up. And it isn't just about race, it's about drawing districts that force urban and suburban and rural voters into the same district just to help a particular race get a vote. That's actually not how we should be drawing districts in general. We should be having people of similar interests and geographically compact represented by somebody, and then there should be a different person representing the people in the rural districts. And so Justice Jackson made an argument which I don't think was really fully fleshed out. She made the argument that it is okay to have this string bean district that goes all the way through the state because that mimics the voting pattern, mimics the residential patterns of newly freed slaves along a river 100 years ago. I don't know if that's empirically supported or not, but folks, it's 2025, okay? Time to get with the program and time to recognize that this is not the country of the 1960s. The Supreme Court has recognized that repeatedly. Shelby County versus Alabama and other decisions have eliminated some of those vestiges of mandatory pre-clearance by the Department of Justice in districting. And now I think it's time to get rid of this one too.
Yeah, the map is wild. The Louisiana map is crazy. I'm not sure the producers can get it fast enough, but it is. We show the Illinois map all the time, the same thing. And it doesn't apply to this case, but the map in Louisiana is obscene, and there's a lot of that going in virtually every single. There it is, right there. How do you justify this? I mean, it's just crazy. Klein, pop it up. How do you justify this? This map. Look at this. This is what they're doing. It's important to actually put the visuals up.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can justify it. It's nuts. And there should be many factors considered by legislatures in redistricting. And, race has effectively been a trump card, if you will, and predominated every other aspect, but politics too, because it's always a Black Democrat district that's being drawn in this contorted way. And again, I think people should just compete in the political process. If you think drawing districts that way is appropriate, then make that case to the legislature. I don't think it's going to be found to be a popular argument today in most of these states. And so depending on the timing of this ruling by the court, if it comes out earlier, then you might see a couple of other districts southern states scrambling to redraw their lines in time for the midterm elections. But it will have a durable impact, whether it's in time for the midterms or not. If it comes out the way that we hope, it is going to fundamentally alter the way we elect people in the United States and force more merit-based competition and less racial set-asides.
That's wonderful. There's no justification for this, Harmeet. The wonderful thing about what you are doing inside of the Trump administration and the Department of Justice is that you're making people defend the morally unjustifiable. There is no defense of this. There's no defense. There is no defense. And the defense that was given, again, went viral for its absurdity, actually.
Yep.
And it was easily knocked down by just booking a couple of congressional guests on the show. The Illinois map just is obscene. I mean, just because it's fun to put up. I mean, what the hell even is this? Yeah, and they complain. I mean, people like Gavin Newsom complain about gerrymandering. People flee Texas to go to this state to complain about gerrymandering. It's you can't defend it.
It's crazy.
And so I wanted to ask you, because you are from California and because you do know so many players here, and I'm not sure it's necessarily in your purview at the DOJ, but since the entire country is talking about these illegal truck drivers from California that are now taking the lives of Americans, obviously life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is, woven into the fabric of the nation, and like we should be able to drive down the highway without somebody ramming, some drunk criminal alien ramming a truck into us at 90 miles an hour and killing us. And this has happened now twice in 2 months with this horrifying. This happened in California. It's awful. Just want to get your take on it. I know the Secretary of Transportation's obviously come out saying this shouldn't be happening.
Well, of course it shouldn't be happening. I mean, look, California has a long history of subverting the rights of the ordinary taxpayer to the illegal alien. And this has gone from, first I remember vividly sitting in San Francisco and then hearing the mayor of Oakland, when she was given a heads up about an ICE raid, taking to the airwaves to warn illegal aliens to go flee and hide until the ICE raids were over. My goodness, who do you think these illegal aliens who are raping and robbing and murdering, who are they preying on? They're preying on other minority communities. And so you're even screwing over the minority communities of your own state and giving the finger to the federal government and to all the law-abiding citizens. Now, I didn't know until this recent spate of these incidents on the road that they had been giving driver's licenses out in California and other states with like no name given commercial driver's licenses. Gosh, it's hard to get a carry permit in California if you're a law-abiding citizen, but they're handing out driver's licenses for, lethal weapons, if you will, gigantic 18-wheelers, like candy, and handing them out to people who can't read and write English, don't have an incentive to follow the law, are living in the shadows of the law, and are breaking the law. And I have my own car totaled several years ago in San Francisco. I'll never forget it, by an illegal alien. And I'm driving my beautiful vintage, car, and this illegal alien makes a left turn into oncoming traffic, totals my beautiful car, gives me permanent back injuries, flees the scene. And then when I, get the fire truck to come help get me out of my crushed car, they call the police, and the police ask me, they catch the guy, and they ask me, ma'am, do you want to make a citizen's arrest here? Because we don't normally arrest people for this. I'm like, you don't normally arrest people for nearly killing an American citizen in downtown San Francisco and fleeing the scene? I mean, what does it take? And they're like, no, he's here illegally, he doesn't speak English. I'm like, hey, no left turn is kind of an international sign for don't do this stupid thing, which this person did. He was a Nicaraguan house painter or something. And of course they gave him a ticket. And of course he didn't show up for trial, and I'm the one holding the bag in my insurance because it was an uninsured motorist. This plays out. I heard my friend Adam Carolla talk about the same thing on a podcast earlier this week. Just about everybody who's driven in Los Angeles has had a similar incident of the car being clipped by some drunk illegal alien, and you have no recourse. So people are dying because of this. It's outrageous. And what can I say? Shameful episode and incident for California, but par for the course. This really needs to change. And I hope that our Secretary of Transportation is able to do something about it. States get a lot of money and transfers from the federal government for roads and operations and so forth. And they're only entitled to them if they're not breaking the law. So I think hopefully we can do something about this.
Very quickly, since you brought it up, and I know that you're up against a hard out, but Gavin Newsom just said San Francisco is doing great, and that San Francisco is beautiful, and that Trump will actually go ruin it with the National Guard. He put that out on X yesterday, I think. And so, given the fact that you just described a near-death experience, that's what it sounds like a near-death experience that you're going to have to suffer through with back pain for the rest of your life, and all the fees, and the cops didn't help you in San Francisco. Like, do you think that San Francisco is going to be destroyed? There it is, right there. Okay, beautiful. Deploying troops to our cities. If Donald Trump invades our state again, California will sue immediately. This is not the tweet that I was looking for. It's Gavin Newsom saying Trump is going to destroy San Francisco. Do you think do you agree with that contention?
I think San Francisco was pre-destroyed by Gavin Newsom and his ilk. San Francisco is a very beautiful city. It's the most European city, walkable city. I lived there. I practiced law there for many years. I'm trying to sell my place in San Francisco right now. And guess what? It isn't very easy to sell a nice property in San Francisco because nobody in their right mind wants to move there. I was already living there, and that's why I did until my husband passed away last year. And so the situation there is terrible on the streets. You cannot walk south of Market, which is just bordering the financial district. Drug addicts people dying and having fentanyl overdoses right there on the streets, homeless people living everywhere, crazy people attacking elderly Asians with, weapons in the streets. It's totally insane. And I think federal intervention is necessary. And also the Ninth Circuit just recently ruled that, where you have a combination of these nuts attacking ICE agents while they're trying to do their jobs and other criminal aspects going on the streets, that it's appropriate for the National Guard to come in and help maintain law and order for federal law enforcement. And so we have a real problem there. A lot of illegal aliens in the city as well. Los Angeles, similar problems. California needs to take a hard look in the mirror. I just posted a picture online of a whale jumping off of the coast of Sonoma, where I have my other home. And it is a state worth living in. It is beautiful. The natural beauty is amazing. You have Tahoe. You have like the breadbasket of America and the Central Valley, and a lot of conservative values and great salt of the earth Americans there. And they're being held hostage by these crazy left-wing rulers, the governor, all these people clustered on the coast who are representing California in Congress, and who are running the state into the ground, and who are justifying and laughing at people whose houses were burned down in the Pacific Palisades for no good reason. And, nothing ever changes over there. So I don't know what it's going to take to change it. But if anybody can, it's President Trump. And I'm really glad to see him standing up to the nuttery happening in California.
I'm not sure if you have a confidence monitor here, Harmeet, but we are showing that beautiful whale, that video of a beautiful whale jumping outside of your home right now. And it is beautiful. What kind of whale is this? Do you know what kind of a whale it is?
It's probably a humpback. I haven't done an analysis, but the long fins suggest a juvenile humpback.
It's gorgeous. What a dream.
Amazing.
It's worth preserving. It's worth saving California. That's why we're working so hard to put voter ID on the ballot there in California. That's why we're joining with that cause. And again, here's the tweet that we were looking for. Fact check. Nobody wants you here, Trump. You will ruin one of America's greatest cities, says Gavin Newsom from whatever bunker he tweets from in, Napa.
Gavin, you ruined it. Gavin had this goofy Care Not Cash program when he was the mayor. I lived in San Francisco back then 20 years ago. And what does it look like on the streets of San Francisco? Everyone has seen. And, it is a beautiful city, and it is just criminal what California's leaders have done to it. And maybe we can bring it back.
Maybe we can bring it back for more than just when Xi Jinping visits. That's right.
Yes.
Thank you, Harmeet. Godspeed. We just love following you. We love the work that you're doing. I'm sorry we couldn't get to 4 or 5 other accomplishments that you've had in the administration, but the rap sheet goes on and on. Harmeet Dillon is doing just the Lord's work, truly, in Washington, D.C. at the DOJ as the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights. Everyone follow her right here on her official handle. She has 170,000 subscribers here on X. Some of the most important work being done for law and justice in our nation. Thank you, Harmeet.
Thanks for having me.
Ooh, baby, we've been talking about health on the show. We've been talking about, some of that water off the California coast. Oh, man. You know what the government does? They take some of that water and they put chemicals in it. Those chemicals are not good for you. Utah and Florida recently banned fluoride in their drinking water. Why has fluoride been added to drinking water for the last 80 years? Maybe we should question these kind of things. Maybe we should find ways to ensure that fertilizer runoff and other strange chemicals that can affect women and children, pharmaceutical drugs like antidepressants and hormone disruptors that are found all throughout water supplies in America, because, these companies do not actually take the impurities out of the water before it runs through your faucet. You should protect yourself against that. My family certainly does. We use Cove Pure. Cove Pure ensures that you have pure water, that you have 100% pure, clean, no aftertaste water. It's super easy to install. I am not the world's best handyman, I got to tell you. But even I can do it. No plumbing, no drilling. You just fill it, plug it in, and you can choose any temperature, hot or cold, with one tap. This is the way that you get actual, real, pure drinking water. Don't wait for the government to sort out your water. Do it yourself, obviously. CovePure.com/Benny for a limited time. You'll get $200 off your purchase. That's COVEPURE.com/Benny to get $200 off. CovePure.com/Benny. All right, ladies and gentlemen, very interesting times and very interesting set of news. We're going to have a wild show tomorrow. We're excited about it. Is PBD joining tomorrow? Is that correct? Well, I get producers tell me. I'm not sure. He was going to be joining. I think it was. Yeah, pretty sure. PBD will be joining tomorrow. Interesting times. And we're looking forward to, well, just all of the growth and all of the exciting opportunities that we've had. We're going to be, okay, so that's a yes. That's a yes. Okay, so it's going to be a fun show tomorrow. I know that we've had to move around for scheduling conflicts a couple of times. Just a reminder that actually we will be doing a massive event in Auburn. Can we get that graphic up? And we need to be promoting this every single show. Please, ALX. Every show I want to promote this. We're really thrilled about it. Speech that we're going to be giving in Auburn for the Charlie Kirk tour with Turning Point. We're going to be joined by our friends Eric Trump and Laura Trump on stage. We have some major announcements that we're going to be making. So we're very excited about it. It's going to be live. It's going to be November 5th here. There you go. Sweet. It's going to be November 5th in a stadium in Auburn. It's going to be a blast. We're hyped. We want to make you guys proud. We want to make sure that we are bringing this energy and this movement and bringing it national and giving it the biggest platform that we possibly can. We're thankful for our partners, obviously, at Turning Point USA for this. We're so proud to partner with them when we're going out and changing the country with some big announcement. So we've been working on some stuff behind the scenes, and we're thrilled about it, actually. Carrying forward Charlie's legacy, I suppose, will be something that I will devote a good portion of my life to. He was my dear friend, and we just want to defend our friend. We want to defend you as well, ladies and gentlemen, and that is why we give you the verse of the day. Number one way to defend yourself, put on the full armor of God from Psalms 119. I have chosen the way to faithfulness. I have set my heart on your laws. The laws of God are higher than the laws of man. The laws of man should reflect the laws of God. That's why we spend so much time on this show talking about law and order and justice. Ladies and gentlemen, join us. And thank you. Like, share, and subscribe to this program. And know this, in the end, we win. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the most unstoppable collision course on Earth, the Freeway Fury Demolition Derby, where titans of steel fight for survival. Hold on to your seat.
Blue Steel makes the first move. He's leaning in. Look at that chrome flash. Maroon Thunder answers back, grinding down the side. Sparks flying like Diwali fireworks out here on the freeway. Both rigs still pushing.
It's chaos on the concrete. These giants are trading paint and metal.
Look at that jackknife. He is crossing every lane. Another one punching through the rail. Pipes flying everywhere. Hold on to your steering wheel.
These giants are trading paint and metal. Look at that silver tire's gone. He's still pushing. Black rig into the rail. Sparks everywhere. White truck breaking free. He's off the road. This is full power madness. Hold your breath, people. These boys are not lifting.
Where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light. Bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade. Cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be. Faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.